Hey everybody, welcome to episode 16 of Duke's Download. Today I am talking to somebody who I think is one of the funniest people on TV, someone who I've been such a huge fan of since I was a kid, really. And he's just an amazing guy, such a sweet guy. Jeff Garlin, the star and executive producer of Curb Your Enthusiasm, my favorite show. So it's really surreal and amazing that he agreed to be on today. Let me see if he's on yet. But yeah, Curb has been one of my favorite shows since I was a kid. And also, of course, The Goldbergs, which is such a great show. Yeah, I mean, I just, as I'll mention, I actually met him for the first time about 5 years ago through my mom. And he's just a super sweet, funny, kind, hilarious person. He is on. 1 second. Request. It's connecting. Hey,
Can I describe myself for you?
yes.
I am a super sweet, funny, kind person. I wish people would introduce me that way. I should have sent that to you ahead of time to tell you to do it.
There's so many things I could say about amazing things I could say about you. I'm such a huge fan, and I admire you. I just think and I love the energy you put out in the world. You're just an amazing person, and I'm honored
to say that. By the way, I told you the irony about you, right? Your name.
Right, your son, right?
Sons. My sons are named James and Duke.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, that is crazy, right?
I mean,
in fact, I'm going over to see them later after I'm done with you and your adventure here.
Whatever. Duke, then you can go see the other James Duke.
Exactly. Yeah, James and Duke.
But by the way, my mom and dad, of course, wanted me to say they send their love.
Send my love back.
My dad actually has three heart emojis.
Well, tell him. Well, by the way, they are lovely, lovely people, which explains a lot about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was thinking how weird it is that we met that night. The day we met was 5.5 years ago.
Was it that long already?
I mean, wow. Time flies by.
You were 12, right?
I was.
A special show we did at Largo for your 12th birthday, if I'm not mistaken. I forget some of that.
Yeah. If I was 20, I was 23 at the time now. Yeah, so time flies. But what's crazy is, as I was alluding to in my introduction, I've been a fan of yours since I was literally, I think, 12 years old, if not earlier, because when I lived in France and grew up in France, my mom and dad and I would sit around watching Curb. I think literally I was like 10 years old. And so anyway.
I don't recommend that, but you turned out okay.
Well, my parents exposed me to a lot of interesting things when I was young. I got a good education when I was a kid about having a good sense of humor. Curb definitely. It was Curb Your Enthusiasm and all the Christopher Guest movies. Mm-hmm. And I know there's been a little bit of sort of crossover
for sure
front with Catherine, which of course I wanted to ask.
I've worked with most of the people in the Christopher Guest movies, over time, and I've gotten to work with a lot of my heroes.
Well, all of you are comedic geniuses. So, of course, I'll get to all that, but I wanted to ask you first, how are you doing, and how is quarantine life?
Well, I'm going to show you right now quarantine life. Sage. Wait, Sage, look at, why is it when I do this and I say her name, she's trained, she's my dog on the Goldbergs.
Right, of course.
And
when did
I think
been
I'm
on
the
the show
first
from the
person? She'd be sitting on my lap every episode, and I'd say, because my character spends the most time with her, and I'd say, wow, I would love to have a dog like this. And then last year, I asked her trainer if she could help me get a dog, and she goes, Sage is available. I go, what do I have to do to earn this? And she has, without a doubt, saved my life.
Oh.
No, she has totally saved my life during this period. I'm staying mostly indoors. I mean, I'm not indoors. I mean, I go in my backyard, but I am truly, I'm isolated, man. And it's only recently a couple friends of mine got COVID. Um, One a comedian and another a lady friend, and she's in the middle of it now. Ugh. I don't want any of that near me. Not them, but
Yeah.
I don't want any. I'm going outside. I figure I want to get a little
Fresh
uh,
air.
fresh air. Yeah,
But it
I'm
must
just
be.
that's how close I keep myself to fresh air. I 3 steps from fresh air.
Well, I see. I mean, you've been really active on Instagram. I love all of your Instagram live videos that you've been.
Well, it's been you sort of, on certain days you're like, screw it, I'll go on Instagram and see who's there. And when I go on Instagram, I just talk to people who are watching me. Like I invite them in. I think
I
it's
love
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Like I see, like you talk to kids a lot. And it's
Well,
cute.
by the way, it's not like I don't choose them. I just Rebecca Examana said, "Can I be you're my lady friend?" I
Oh.
couldn't understand. I thought you said friend. Yeah, you're a lady. You can be my friend, maybe. I don't know. Anyhow, so I thought you said, "Can I be your friend?" And I was going to say yes. I just, yeah, ladies, I get thrown. You're kind of lucky that you don't have any interest in ladies except as friends, because I got to tell you something about ladies as friends. Fucking delightful. Most of my friends are women. I love women friends.
Mhm.
To date women, what's it like dating men? And I'm not talking about the physical aspect. I'm talking about emotionally. Obviously, I live in California. I'm in show business. I have many a gay friend. I've never even asked one of them emotionally, what is that like? Because it's like, I don't know. What is that emotionally like?
I just think dating in LA in general, is
But
not.
but are but are yes, but are men just as bad as women? I mean,
In,
like I
in
said,
different ways, but yes.
I actually called up a friend of mine the other night and I said, I've got an idea. How about you're my girlfriend, but you're not really my girlfriend. We can tell people you'll come to me to award shows, what have you, but you ain't my girlfriend. We're just friends. That's all I want. Because everything else, I get crazy, crazy.
It gets overcomplicated with the other stuff.
Oh, it's a big bowl of, and I like napping. I just want to find a lady who wants to nap next to me. I kind of have one.
That
We'll
sounds
see.
pretty good.
Yeah, it does. By the way, James, seriously,
Yes.
you have unequivocally the sweetest face of any
Uh-huh.
person I've ever met. You have just like, you're a
You're pretty
sweetie.
kind. I think
You
you have the
must,
sweetest
you
face.
might, yeah. Well, I'm an old man now, but by the way, it doesn't mean I don't have a sweet face. That's very kind of you. But your mom and dad do they kiss you a lot?
We're very affectionate, very affectionate. I mean, right
By the
now,
way, I am with
so
my
we
sons.
but
My sons, I kiss. What would you say before
I
that?
said right now, of course, we can't. They're often
I
80,000 miles away, but
I know. Well, I might as well be with my kids. I got to sit. They're at my ex's, and I love my ex, and we'd all just sit around, but far from each other. I only want to kiss and hug my boys. It's making me nuts. I love it.
you haven't even like, I mean, you see them, but you don't have any physical contact.
No.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I met a woman during this period, and it's going along nicely. We'll see what happens. She actually got COVID, which is very sad and upsetting. She's not here in LA,
Oh,
but we met once, okay, after we met, through the magic of the internet and a friend of hers. Anyhow, point being is, even when we met, we never hugged, we never kissed,
wow.
nothing, man. So I have kind of like a girlfriend but
You can't touch, can't see.
no, and that's not as fun as having a woman as a friend, which is way more fun because there's no expectations. Yeah.
Absolutely. But so your life must be completely like, I mean, I know from my mom, just like when your life is basically touring, or being, doing, whether it's in your case, doing shows or filming stuff, to have that sort of abrupt shift in lifestyle. I mean, it must be a real
Well, actually,
time.
no. For me personally, it wasn't, because prior to the pandemic, I had filmed the whole season of Curb. I had filmed almost the whole season of Goldberg's. We fell one episode short. We had to cut it off.
Wow.
I am a photographer. I had my first photo show at the Leica Gallery, and I did a Netflix special called Our Man in Chicago, which I'm very, 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 very proud
Right.
of. I was so happy that it turned out kind of magical for me. I hope people dig it. I'm not going to tell you it's great, but I'm going to tell you I hope you dig it. But I was tired, and I had planned, I'm not exaggerating, mid-March till maybe the beginning of April. I mean, mid-March till the beginning of May, I was going to just stay at home and do nothing. But even what I learned, I've learned a lot of things during the pandemic, because, you got to sit with yourself. That's how I've lost weight. I lost weight by not eating out of either boredom or anxiety. People say, what was your diet plan? And my diet plan is just sitting. That's it.
What do you? What do you eat? Do you make your own food?
Make my own food. I make a salad.
Because I have. I
I
don't
make.
know, that's what I appreciate you've talked about the weight, because I've had my weight issues for my whole life, and it's something that it's I mean, not that people should be deep and dark about it, but it can be a pretty difficult thing to contend with, and mental health, that part of it, and
But the truth is, I just avoid eating shit. Like, I have a pizza on occasion. That's not my go-to. I mean, I love pizza, but sugar was my thing. It still is my thing, but I don't eat that stuff. And I literally, let's say I'm anxious and I want to go and get chips. There are no chips in my house, and maybe I'll sit down on the couch with myself and feel feelings. And I got to tell you, oh, does that suck? So as much as dieting, people think dieting sucks. Dieting's a waste of your time. Everything is about sitting with your feelings. Unless, by the way, you have some sort of biological reason for, I'm an addict with food. So that was my reason. So I have to sit with my feelings. And I hate it, but I do it.
No, I can relate, believe me. But no, I mean, it was so funny. I remember when you were talking, so for those who don't know, the way we met was because you had hosted a concert or a event. I was not a concert, you weren't singing, but a multi-hyphenate event, was singing, performing, and it was an event that my mom did with Susanna Hoffs and the Bangles.
By the way, truly, two of the greatest ladies that any human being could ever be around. I'm like sitting between them, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I do right to get here? Because they're spectacularly talented, spectacularly beautiful, but their talent and their beauty, I don't even think measure as high as the quality of women that they are. They are just, I love both those women. And let's talk specifically your mom. Really magic, man. Magic. I'm looking forward to seeing the Go-Go's documentary.
And I think it's in about next Friday. Yes.
Next Friday. What platform does it come out? Like, who paid for it?
Showtime.
So it'll be on Showtime.
Showtime Friday night. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, well, that's exciting, man.
Yeah.
My favorite album is Talk Show.
I love Talk Show, and it's like
Talk Show. I think is just, that's my favorite. I was in college when I got Beauty and the Beat. I was a sophomore in college, and I got this. By the way, this black dude came over, coolest dude, brought over, I swear to God, Dirty Mind by Prince and the Go-Go's Beauty and the Beat. Those were two of the greatest albums I ever listened to, and they both blew my mind. Blew my mind. Sounded like nothing else.
No, but then the fact that you heard them, but then you ended up working as a security guard at a Go-Go show?
Yes. Also, by the way, a Bengals show years later after that. But no, Go-Go's. Go-Go's, I told your mom this. It was at the West Palm Beach Auditorium. I was a security guard for the Go-Go's and Flock of Seagulls.
That is amazing.
Yes.
That
It was amazing. And it was just like I was so excited. Oh, I was supposed to see I went on a road trip with my brother to Florida, to California from South Florida. And we drove home and I got home on the night I was supposed to see the Go-Go's and In Excess at Sunrise Musical Theater. And In Excess was opening for the Go-Go's because they also reached the highest of highs. No, that, I love jazz. I love popular music. I love blues. I love all music. And so any genre, whatever's great, So I can truly listen to Miles Davis and then a talk show by the Go-Go's because that's my taste.
Well, I was reading, I read about how you love music from an early age, but you actually didn't start playing yourself until later on, right?
Well, by the way, that's assuming that I can play. I don't play.
I saw you.
I've only recently let people see my photographs. I have I have beautiful guitars, great guitars that I love. I do not play enough. Just like everybody else during the pandemic, I've not been as productive as I like. That's the thing. One of the things that I always say in my stand-up, and I said it in my Netflix special, talk about it, is one of the things that I've learned as I've gotten older is you got to be kind to yourself. So sometimes people beat themselves up, especially now, for I didn't accomplish anything today. Well, guess what? It's a pandemic. You're trapped inside. This is day, 3,000? Point being is we got to be nice to ourselves. And if you're nice to yourself, you have a complete inability to be unkind to somebody else.
Yep, absolutely. And it's not easy. I think people are almost sort of minimizing how serious this and how.
But that by the way, minimizing it is also not being kind to yourself.
Right. Exactly. Right. No. Exactly.
You got to accept what it is and deal with it.
Yep.
Someone said to me, maybe it was. Did your mom write me? I wrote this to somebody. It's on my Instagram. I'm doing the best I can with the information that I've been given. It's one of my favorite. By the way, there's not many things that I write and I go, oh, that nailed it. That nailed it. I've been given information. I'm doing the best I can. And as you get older, you're a young, wise man, which is rare. Are you still interested in politics?
Yeah, that's still, I don't know I don't know when I'll run for office again. I ran for city council in West Hollywood. I didn't win, but I did, if I may say so myself, I think fairly well. And,
well, that's exciting. And you learned a lot about this attempt.
Say that again?
You learned a lot during this attempt.
Oh, yeah.
To get it. I'm saying you can learn that next time.
And I love
anytime you need me at a rally. By the way, I'm not a very political person.
I was going to say, I've noticed you have posted about encouraging people to vote on your website.
Here, people vote, but I don't tell them who to vote for. But I assume that they know. And by the way, you, very liberal young man, big bowl of gay, and you have a conservative father and a liberal mother. It's fascinating. I'm fascinated by it.
Well, they're about as different as, although you would think they're going to be about as different as it gets. And that's sort of the point that, people on the surface, we have all these sort of things that we would think make us so different from each other. But in fact, underneath, there's lots of other things that, make us, that can connect us. But unfortunately, we live in a world now where people are so divided.
But I used to, when I was your age, I love saying that, I didn't get obsessed over Democrat and Republican. I like to say that I'm liberal because I would vote for a Republican, but not anymore. Because I feel like the Republican Party should have, not could have, I usually use the word could, I don't like the word should, but should have said, no, we're too good for this, to Trump. We have self-respect, but the idea that they didn't do that, really, that hurt me more than anything else. It was like, wow, now you're giving me less people to root for and choose from and think,
Yep.
oh, he's a good man, she's a good man.
For a
But
democracy to work, you have to have two healthy,
by the way, I say that about women who run for office. She's a good man. I realize I just said that as a thing. All right, anyhow, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just how like that's why, like, even though I never would have voted for him, probably, I always liked like John Huntsman, when he ran for president. I was like, at least he's a smart,
Well, what's the dude's name from Ohio who comes down hard against Trump?
Right.
And there's that Lincoln Project of Republicans, because you can be a By the way, I have nothing but respect for people with different political views up until now. Like, this has changed me from someone, like, I still don't say anything but vote, but I'm this close to saying, you know who to vote for. And including local elections and all the Senate and the House. This is the first time he has brought that out, that sort of, no, there aren't two choices. There's one choice. That's just me, and I know people feel different, but I used to have so much respect for even people who voted for Trump. I'd say they're looking for something different. And I know there were a lot of people who did, who are very sad and disappointed. But the idea that you can be in a Target or something wearing a Nazi face cover and a Trump T-shirt, that tells you all you need to know in terms of intelligence, in terms of sensitivity to your fellow man. It's
it's a totally different thing.
Yeah. And then why can't one of these, white guys, older white men who are involved with Trump, just say the words Black Lives Matter? And then they say all lives matter. No. No one's saying that all lives don't matter. You just need to throw that out there to say, I acknowledge that you've been treated like shit.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It's so stupid, and it's just, but sadly, it appears to be a large segment of the country, or large.
It is sad, and it's really, to me, I have gone through years of therapy. I'm still in therapy to learn one of the things that I learned was to be able to deal with not knowing the future. What is she going to think? What's going to happen? How do I, instead, being very present. The biggest test of that in my life has been the virus. But the thing that's made me most upset during this period of time is our government. And I never felt that way. I was always live and let live. And now I'm not live and let live. Now you wear a Nazi covering, you get into people's faces, or you don't wear a mask. By the way, that is a good question. Choice, Nazi covering or nothing. And I would have to say, I go with the Nazi covering, unless I can be sure that they'll get the virus. I would say, yeah, I'd feel more comfortable with someone with a Nazi covering of their mouth.
Well,
no one ever thinks that. By the way, whoever thought that ever, like, that would be a thing. Would I want somebody with a Nazi face mask, but I'm protected from the virus? I don't know.
Well, it's like, someone said, I think it was Chelsea Clinton or something, it was like, why isn't Trump selling like MAGA face masks like that? Like, I mean, like, if that's,
or, by the way, to be honest, with where he's going now, he can't be selling them. He's got to be giving them. Ain't nobody going to buy them.
I know, yeah. But no, that's a sort of good segue into the Curb thing, which of course I mean, and by the way, congratulations on the Goldbergs, because I saw you guys were just renewed for an 8th season. Is that right?
Yep. Season 8.
Amazing.
And we're supposed to start filming next month, which is crazy.
But you think they're gonna?
Yeah, and then Curb is supposed to start in November.
But no, and for that, I mean, and that's what I was sort of going to get to. That Curb actually, I noticed in the last season, maybe in the second to last season, you sort of broached
a little bit of, like, there were some political references. But the last season, there were a lot of references to both politics and Me Too and, like, a lot of
but by the way,
before.
I got to be honest with you. We had no agenda except to be funny.
Yeah.
There's no political agenda on our show.
Right.
None.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Republicans and right wing. Your father loves Curb. To me, it's not a political show. And I think when you do comedy, unless you're a political comedian and that's your thing, you should really try and not have a political agenda. It doesn't mix with comedy. Only funny mixes with comedy.
Totally. I just thought it was interesting that, like, for the first time, there were sort of references to just things that were going on sort of in the culture at the moment. Like, of course, the scene when Larry's hooking up with, I forgot the character's name, but the Palestinian woman. In the second to last.
Yeah.
McConnell and Rudy Giuliani and all that. I was like, so that was the first time, like, the show before that never ever referenced politics, contemporary.
Oh, we did the producer season. He sees the woman that he's attracted to with a Bush picture on behind her, and he can't kiss her because she has a Bush picture in her dressing room.
That's true. That is true. That's true.
But by the way, the premise of that scene is to be funny, not to make a point about Bush. Right. It's not.
Right. But I know that Larry in his personal life has done a lot of environmental stuff and political, donating to candidates.
Yeah.
But I know that's not something that's been sort of, it hasn't been like pushing an agenda, of course.
I do love Victoria Villanueva wrote, "Please never get political." And I am not skilled enough to make political funny. It doesn't work for me. And every once in a while, Larry does on our show, but it's not political. There's not I'll watch programming sometime, and I'm a liberal-minded guy, but I'll watch things and I'll go, too much of a political agenda. Even if I agree with it, it's like, too much. No. Tell your story. Be funny. Don't be funny if it's a drama, but the agenda, I never can get behind.
No, absolutely. No, and people kind of look to things like Curb as a reprieve, like a break from, having to hear about all the miserable news,
Right. By the way, somebody just wrote Randy Rainbow. Have you ever watched that guy?
Of course.
He's hilarious.
It's amazing.
He's hilarious. So even if he sang a song that was filled with politics, because of his personality and the way he does things, it would be funny. He could sing about anything and be funny. He's funny, that dude.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And no, regarding Curb, I know I already said it, but like my dad wrote in the comments, we more than loved Curb. We literally and I had to talk to you about this. There's so many episodes that I won't talk about more than just this one because there's so many moments that literally, like, my dad and I recite every word. Like, it's just such a part of our daily lives and the vocabulary used, the references. But of course, like, I think I told you when I met you that I literally named my dog after Bam Bam Funkhauser.
Right, you did. Right. Bam Bam.
I think when I told you that the first time, you were like, wow, that really, you really are like a Curb.
But by the way, just know the way my mind works. When I hear Bam Bam, I think of the Flintstones.
Right. And that's actually when people would tell me when I would introduce them to my dog, and they'd go, "Oh, from the Flintstones." Sometimes I'd just be like, "Yeah, like that's easier than going." No, it's the name of a character from.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, you can tell by talking to certain people. Oh, I'll give them the Curb reference; they'll be impressed.
Oh, no.
But most people, it'll be the Flintstones.
Well, it's very, I feel like it's true. Curb, it is kind of a certain type of person. It's kind of an exclusive club, like a cool club. Like if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Well, the cool club, the thing about Curb is you have to have a sense of humor to dig it. So it's really almost like a litmus. It's like a litmus test. It's like you meet people. I don't like Curb. Unless they name 10 other things that are great. It's like, look, I don't think I'm very proud of Curb Your Enthusiasm, proud of the work I do and stuff. But I know that my style of comedy, Larry's style of comedy, what I do as a stand-up, what I do as an actor, it's all for comedy fans. Like comedy fans, like when I do a red carpet, if the people interviewing me are not comedy fans, it's like a rehearsal for them. And I'm like, they don't even know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But when people are comedy fans, they light up, and it's so much fun.
I know exactly. You articulated it perfectly, which is the way I feel, which is as soon as I talk to someone and they say, oh yeah, I watch Curb, it's an immediate like, okay, we know we're going to get along because it's a very unique, it's a unique sense of humor, and it's you know, it's a very specific type of person that gets it. And it's, you know that if they don't like Curb, that means, oh God, it's like I have to walk on eggshells with this person because they're not going to be like, you know.
Well, one of the most difficult for me as a person, I'm talking my entire life. As a kid too, I remember jobs I had, bosses, and not all bosses don't have a sense of humor, but people without senses of humor, it's so hard to deal with emotionally. And I've had to use so much restraint not to just go, fuck you, you know, and just be like, okay, not everybody's been, because there are gifts, like there's really funny, there's funny, and it works its way down to having a sense of humor, which I love. Even if somebody's not funny, if they have a sense of humor, I can get along with them great. But people without senses of humor, ooh.
Oh yeah. No, it can be bad. It can be pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know,
In the words of Nature's Place 52, they're draining. Thank you, Nature's Place 52, with your flower.
They are
they're
draining. No, but I mean, you know, I know a lot of the people on here probably haven't seen that episode of Curb, but like, I had to ask you because they actually just reposted the clip of that scene with Catherine O'Hara on that Curb Your Larry David Instagram, and I just rewatched it over and over and over again the other day, and I wanted to ask, first of all, I know you probably get this all the time, and so I will only do it this once, but if I had to if there were one dream thing for the next season of Curb, it would be bringing Catherine O'Hara, Bam Bam Funkhauser back. That would be a brilliant.
No, we probably. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the scripts yet, but I do know that that's highly unlikely based on upon the fact that Bob died last year. Yeah,
that was just beyond tragic. What that movie. That hurt. I mean, that one hurt. Just, you know, and I know.
Well, he was one of my dearest friends, so it was, and he was one of Larry's dearest friends. So it made it very. I mean, yeah, in a professional way, it was really hard not working with him and not having that fun. But on a personal level, it just, you know, it hurts.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was the best, and Catherine O'Hara. I mean, it's so. And that was what I was referencing earlier with like the crossover of like Christopher Guest, Curb, like that's kind of the same thing too. Like, you know, people who get Christopher Guest movies, that you're going to get along with them because it's that same kind of sense of humor.
Right.
And so, like, do you have any particular memories about shooting that episode in particular, or working with her and that whole?
Well, I mean, I have lots of memories. Whenever I've had the opportunity to spend time with Catherine, it's always been just wonderful to me because she's a wonderful woman. She falls in line with Belinda Carlisle / Mason and, you know, Susanna Hoffs. She's really a remarkable woman. And the one thing that was really crazy to me, here it is, she's one of my heroes. SCTV is one of my favorite all-time shows.
Oh, yeah.
And I found myself which was really weird, we were filming in that house, was a friend of mine's house, and I was in their laundry room because that's where we had to go record with a mic, recording sex sounds with Catherine O'Hara. And I got to tell you, I was just as embarrassed as if I was actually having sex with her. It was so embarrassing. I couldn't believe it.
I remember that was honestly one of the best, I think one of the greatest scenes in television of all time, including the Larry's walk up the steps, the sound effects, the whole thing. It was brilliant, I gotta say.
Oh, thank you. But anyone who thinks the show's brilliant, all the credit goes to Larry David.
No, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Larry's.
Well, by the way,
you're pretty
Larry David and
unbelievable.
one of our other producers who directs a lot, Jeff Schaefer. I put right now, I'd say the whole ball of wax. It's mostly on Larry, but Jeff Schaefer, without him, he holds the show together. He's the producer director that holds the show together. So Jeff Schaefer and Larry David, give them credit.
Well, but I think my mom and dad and I have always thought that you held a special place in our hearts.
Well, that's very kind of you.
And
as I
you're I think you're one of the best parts of the show. I mean, honestly,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you, do you have a particular episode that you would be like, say, was either your favorite to make or your favorite just like?
Well, I've had lots of memories making the show, but there is one episode that I think is a perfect episode because there's nothing tied in with it. You know, we have storylines every year. This particular episode had no storyline. And I mean, no storyline as part of the episode. It was self-contained. And it's called Wandering Bear. It's where Cheryl's vagina is bothering her, and Larry's gardener, Wandering Bear, helps. And Larry and I only want to watch Girls Gone Wild, and we have to go search for my dog, and then he gets run over. That episode, to me, you can show it to somebody who's never seen the show before. It's all self-contained there. So that's a good place. That episode's actually a good place to start for the show and then go to season 1. Like, watch that episode because you'll get a sense of it.
My favorite, they reposted that scene on Curb Your Larry David. I was watching over and over again, laughing hysterically. So genius. The moment when he says, you know, how's your vagina? And she says, it's getting better. And then the way you hear the car, pulling up, and the way the camera pans to Larry getting out of the car and Cheryl's face. It doesn't get better than that, honestly. It was just brilliant.
Well, I certainly enjoyed it.
It's such a great episode. And the scene of
Thank
you guys, Girls Gone Wild. I mean, that's a great episode. No question. But I'm so excited. I mean, talk about like in this time where like there's barely any good news. I mean, the fact that they announced the next season, I mean, it's fantastic.
Well, I'm pretty excited too. I feel blessed. I'm very happy.
November, you said they're playing.
We're starting to shoot at the beginning of November, and I'm supposed to start shooting the Goldbergs. I'm not making this up in 3 weeks, so I'll know before November how that's going to work out because it's a bit, precarious, I guess would be the right word.
Oh my God! I mean. Yeah, it's an uncertain time, you know. And somebody did have to, my mom and my dad, and then somebody else mentioned in the comments. I have to bring up Susie, of course, too.
Yeah, Susie is fantastic.
My dad actually got a cameo of Susie for my mom's. I think it was their anniversary, I think. And I mean, she's another one. My mom and dad. And
he bought the cameo thing.
Yeah, cameo thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was just my dad loves. That's his thing. He loves doing cameos.
By the way, they've asked me, and there's no way. That's like announcing to the world my career is over, or you charge so much, which is what I would charge. Right. But instead, I mean, I hate to be saying this. People write me on Instagram, and if they write me a nice note and say, will you say happy birthday to my father? I just do. I don't want to charge anybody. Right. You know, That's like, I feel weird doing that. That's like being in line at an autograph show. But that being said, do I go down the rabbit hole of Cameo and look at the different people and see there's some that are like $7. And I've done 2 things on Cameo. One is, I bought cameos for people that are insane, and I write insane dialogue. And then also when I know somebody on Cameo, I will write some insane dialogue and tell them they're talking. I remember this one sportscaster from Chicago. I told him, I need you to talk to my grandma. She's afraid of chicken. And I wrote a whole thing, and he's on there going, Grandma, don't be afraid of chicken. I mean, a steak is not, he's doing the whole thing. Oh, and then I actually talked about it on TV in Chicago. Yeah, so I go down the rabbit hole of Cameo. So I got to say, as a customer, love Cameo. As a performer, it's a big bowl of sad.
Oh, no.
And there are people I respect on there that, if they're not having tough times, make another choice. It's like doing a Lifetime movie. If I did a Lifetime movie now, wouldn't you go, oh, what's going on with him?
You know, that's the end of the road. Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, there are people who love Lifetime movies. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, it's a very difficult career to be in show
like Hallmark
business.
Channel, that same kind of thing.
The Hallmark Channel, same thing. The dreidel Christmas. One woman learns how to operate a dreidel, and they get together on Christmas. Anyhow, the point being made is it's a difficult journey, but I have so much respect for what I do. And look, I always tell my children, take what you do seriously. Don't take yourself seriously. And if I go on Cameo, I'm not taking what I do seriously.
No, I know exactly. My mom, that's my mom won't do it. I mean, she said she's thought about maybe doing it for charity. Like but she has.
Well, by the way, people have done that too. But I also feel like if your mom on her Instagram said, "Write me, Venmo me,"
oh yeah.
and there's no middle person, and I will donate, it to charity.
Totally.
Done. It's done. It's great. Totally. And there's no Cameo festival.
100 exactly. No, that's and as you said. I mean, she's had people where they message and say, it's my husband's birthday next week. Will you do a quick?
And of course is the answer. But by the way, I can always tell on Instagram whether someone is half-assed, or I can also see where they've written 20 other people, like it's a form letter. But when someone writes something very specific to me that's kind and thoughtful, I almost always say yes. By the way, I've done a couple Zoom things. Like there was someone wrote me that the teachers are very frustrated on their weekly Zoom meetings. Would I come make an appearance? I said, absolutely. Now imagine me making a cameo for that. And there's no way on Cameo, by the way. Even now when I'm not busy, there's no way I'm doing one for less than $500 a pop, maybe more. You know.
No, of course.
No, but still, I don't want to I don't want to spend my day doing that. Right. I'd rather be hanging with my dog or talking to my children than earning money by going, hey, Jim, we heard you got a raise at the old at the pumpkin patch. Well, I got to tell you, congratulations, Jim. We hope it all works out for you. And by the way, when you go in, they have samples of all the people's things. And what's fascinating to me is how many people do the most half-assed video greeting. Like it's 30 seconds. It's like, what a ripoff. And then there's other ones. None. And then also it's really sad where at the beginning they explain who they are. And it's like, if someone paid for it, why are you explaining who you are? They know who you are. They paid $50 or whatever the hell it is. Hi, this is Jim from Sesame Street circa 1978 or whatever. I don't know. It's frustrating.
I'm totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But no, I'm so grateful for you taking the time. Seriously.
Well, James Duke Mason, I'm grateful. I loved when I met you. You're a remarkable young man. You really are, though. And I know your parents are crazy proud of you. Crazy proud of you, and they have every right to be. You know, by the way, you write me, I'll give you my mixture. Well, your mom's got my number. You need me for anything, any of your political, but anything you want. I'm in for you, James Duke Mason. James Duke Mason. I love it. Love it.
Well, I hope I get to maybe meet and hopefully see you in person soon, but also.
Well, by the way, I would love that. That's another thing too, because you live in West Hollywood, right?
I do. Yeah.
Where are you in LA?
I'm up Laurel Canyon.
Okay. Oh, right up the street.
Yeah. I'm old timey LA. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, yeah. Hopefully, when my mom and dad are back, I don't know when that'll be, but You know,
We don't, but that's the thing. Is like we don't know any of it. They will be back in town. You'll be out to see them. Like it's all going to be. And by the way, when people say things aren't going to be the same, for most of us, they are going to be the same, except for the reality of experiencing that, which will. I think a couple things. I think number one, it's like a lotus flower. Lotus flower grows up from the shit. From the biggest muck grows this beautiful flower. And I think a lotus flower is going to come after this. The only question is,
I've never heard
well,
that analogy.
I made it
before.
up. What do you want?
But
Please do.
The lotus
Please do.
flower grows up from the shit.
It does. It grows up from all the muck. It's terrible, but it's beautiful. I think that's what's going to come out of this. The only thing that we have to do is be patient, more patient than we could ever have imagined, because we don't know. We don't know. And we're doing our best, and people are working on stuff. And just please, and by the way, if I'm talking to your fans and saying vote, that's really stupid. They're going to vote. Anyone with intelligence votes. You know, if you're intelligent, the only people that are smart that don't vote are young people. A lot of young people figure, why, you know, or she's, you know, I remember with Hillary, people would say, she's going to win California. Why? Just because. Just, it's your, I mean, what a thing that we have that we can vote.
Yep. And you want to know that you could say that you were on the right side of history, that you voted.
Yeah, but that's ego stuff. When you say when you want to say you're on the right side of history, you either are or you aren't. When you're a public figure, it's whether or not you're publicly known as the right side of history. How you live your life, your friends, coworkers, they know whether or not you're on the right side of history. But I don't think you ever make choices to be on the right. At least I would never, to be on the right side of history. I always do what I think is right, unless I'm talked out of it, which is rare because a lot of people agree with me. Well, I don't know. I just yammered for a few minutes at the end there. And I want to apologize to anyone who even spent a minute with me today. Keep on listening to James Duke Mason. And yeah.
Well, that means more coming from you. I can't think of anyone who that would mean more to hear that from than you.
Well, that's very kind, and I'm a big bowl of sincerity, my friend. So give your parents my regards.
I will.
And enjoy your good looks, and I'll talk to you.
See you soon, I hope. Thank you, Jeff.
You will. Bye.
See you later. Bye.